I welcome you all to lecture number 20 of this course. Today we are going to start with another clustering tool, that is your entropy based fuzzy clustering. Now all of you have studied and heard about the term entropy in thermodynamics. What do you mean by an entropy in thermodynamics? Entropy is an index of disorderliness in a system. Okay. Now here we are going to use the term entropy once again as an index for making the clusters based on similarity. And the similarity is calculated using the concept of Euclidean distance between 2 points. All of us, we know how to determine the Euclidean distance between 2 points I and j. Now, if I know the distance between the 2 points I and j, that means your dij is known to us. Now, using some expression from dij, I can find out what is the similarity between these 2 points, that is Sij. A stands for similarity. And once you get the information of similarity, like between point 1 and 2, between 1 and 3, 1 and 4, and so on. So I can find out what is the total entropy for this particular point, that is point 1. Okay. Now this particular entropy, which is nothing but an index, can be used efficiently to determine the clusters which are there inside a particular the data set. Now, supposing that in a data set, there are 1000 data points. So for each of the point, you'll have to find out what is the total entropy value. Now I'm going to discuss mathematically how to calculate the total entropy for each of these particular the points. That I'm going to discuss in details. And once you've got the entropy values or the total entropy value for all 1000 data points, then the data point having the minimum entropy value will be selected as the first cluster center. That means that particular data point which is having the minimum entropy value, that will be selected as the leader or the cluster center. And after you have got the cluster center, then the data points having similarity with the cluster center more than a pre-specified value will form a cluster. So the first thing we are going to do is we are trying to find out who could be the cluster center out of these 1000 points. And once you've identified that cluster center, then the data points which are found to be very similar to the cluster center will form a particular cluster. And the remaining data points may form the second cluster or the third cluster and so on. Okay, so the concept is very simple. Okay, so I'm just going to discuss how to determine. Please put up your audio and video. Put up your audio and video. All of you, please put up your audio. Please put up your audio and video. Roshan Kumar. Roshan Kumar, put up your audio and video. Please put up your audio and video. Now I'm just going to take the steps for this particular algorithm, and after that I'm just going to solve one numerical example. Now, so I'm just going to take the same example of capital N data points, and these data points are in capital L dimensional space. So to represent each of the capital N data points, I'll have to take the help of capital L number of numerical values. Okay. Now let us see how to do the clustering using entropy based clustering. Now let us consider N data points in LD hyperspace. Okay. Step 1. Arrange the data set in N rows and N L columns. So I have got capital N number of data points. So I'll have to use capital N number of rows. Okay. And to represent the dimension of each data point, I need capital L columns. Okay. Step 2. Calculate Euclidean distance between the points I and j as follows. That is, dij is nothing but square root of summation k equals to 1 to L xik minus xjk square, and k varies from 1 to L. Capital L is nothing but the dimension of the data. Okay, so I can find out the Euclidean distance values, that is your dij. It's very simple, all of you know. Now, once you've got the Euclidean distance values, now I'll have to find out the similarity between these two data points, that is nothing but your step 3. Now, before I go for the expression to determine the similarity of two data points, let me tell you the fact. If the distance between the 2 points I and j is very small, the similarity between them will be large. Okay, are you getting my point? Let me repeat. If the distance between the two data points is small, if the two data points are very close to each other, their similarity will have larger value. And if the distance is found to be equal to 0, what will be the value of similarity? Similarity is equals to 1. On the other hand, if the distance is too large between the two data points, what will happen to the similarity? The similarity will have a small value. Now here, knowing this particular fact, so I'm just going to use one particular expression to calculate the similarity. That is, Sij is nothing but e raised to the power minus alpha dij. What is alpha? Alpha is a constant, and the numerical value of the constant can be determined using the information of the data set. How to do it? I'm going to discuss. But before that, let me tell you that this particular relationship between the similarity and the Euclidean distance is not the unique. Okay, if you see the literature, the similarity, the relationship between the Euclidean distance and similarity has been expressed in a number of ways, but this is one of them. Okay, so Sij is nothing but is your e raised to the power minus alpha dij, and the numerical value of this particular alpha has to be determined for a particular the data set. How to determine that I'm going to discuss. To determine the numerical value of alpha, let us assume a similarity of 0.5 when the distance between the two data points dij becomes equal to the mean distance of all pairs of data points. Let me repeat. Let us assume that the similarity between the two data points, that is Sij, is equals to 0.5 when the distance between these two data points dij becomes equal to the mean distance of all pair of data points, that is nothing but is your d bar. How to determine the d bar? All of you know, I have already discussed while discussing the Simmons nonlinear mapping. Okay, how to determine? So what I do is, so if you just write down the Euclidean distance values in the form of a matrix, okay, So I'll be getting one principal diagonal, and along the principal diagonal, all the Euclidean distance values are equal to 0. Now, with respect to the principal diagonal, if I consider the bottom side data, or if I consider the top side data, okay, so my purpose will be solved because the distance between the two data points I and j is equal to the distance between the two data points j and I. So dij is equals to dji. That is why to calculate the d bar, I use the expression 1 divided by nc2. What is c? That is a combination. N is the total number of data points. So nc2 is a combination. Okay. So at a time, we are going to consider two data points to determine the Euclidean distance. So in C2, so many such combinations you'll have to consider. So 1 divided by NC2, okay, multiplied by your summation I equals to 1 to n, summation j is greater than I to n dij. That means I'm going to consider only one side of the principal diagonal. Okay. Now, if I do that, then very easily I can find out the mean distance values, that is d bar. And here I'm just going to put dij is equals to d bar. Now, if you go to the previous expression, so what I do, in place of similarity, you put 0.5, that is nothing but half, 1 by 2, that is equals to e raised to the power minus alpha, and you replace this dij by d bar. So you'll be getting half equals to e raised to the power minus alpha d bar. I think I'm clear to all of you. Now you take natural log on both the sides. That is ln. ln you take on both the sides, that is e base log. So if I take ln or the log on both the sides, and if you simplify, then you'll be getting alpha is equals to ln2 divided by is your d bar. So very easily you can find out what should be the value of alpha corresponding to a data set, that is nothing but ln2 divided by your d bar. And remember, the similarity value will lie in the range of 0 to 1. Okay. So this is the way actually you can find out the numerical value of alpha, that is the constant for a particular the data set. Now once you've got the numerical value of this particular alpha, so very easily you'll be able to calculate what is the similarity value, that is your Sij. Now once you've got this particular similarity value, so I can find out what is the entropy value of all data points. Okay. Now to determine the entropy, so a particular expression is used which I'm going to state. But remember that particular expression is not the unique. Okay. Now this particular entropy E is minus S. S stands for the similarity, log base 2 S minus 1 minus S log base 2 into 1 minus S. Now this particular expression was used to determine the entropy of the data point. That is the disorderliness. If you just use the concept of entropy in thermodynamics, okay. So this is the entropy value of the data point. But as I told, this particular expression is not the unique. But remember, there is a philosophy behind the selection of this particular expression. Let me try to explain that. Now, on the right side expression, let us put S equals to 0. Now, if I put S equals to 0, So this will become, E will become equal to minus 0 multiplied by log base 2 0. Now remember, log base 2 0 is not defined. All of us we know. Okay. Now this particular undefined quantity that is multiplied by 0. So ultimately we are getting 0. Now minus 1 minus s, so s equals to 0, so I'll be getting 1 here. Then log base 2 1, log 1 base 2 is equals to 0. So I'll be getting entropy is equals to 0 when the similarity becomes equal to 0. So if S is put equal to 0, the entropy is equal to 0. Now let us see what happens if I consider S equals to 1, another extreme. For similarity, the minimum value of similarity is 0 and the maximum value of similarity is 1. So if I put 1 here, this will become minus 1 multiplied by log base to 1. Log base to 1 is once again 0 minus 1 minus 1 is 0 multiplied by log base to 0, and once again log base to 0 is not defined, okay, but that is multiplied by 0. So ultimately I'll be getting E is equal to 0. Now you see the reality. When similarity is 0, entropy becomes equal to 0. When similarity becomes the maximum, that is 1.0, once again, entropy becomes equal to 0. Okay. Now, if the similarity is lying between your 0 and 1, in between, there is a possibility that you'll be getting the non-zero entropy value, that is the E value. Okay. Now, if I know the entropy between the two data points I and j, can I not find out the total entropy value at a data point xi with respect to all other data points? It's very simple. Supposing that I have got 1000 data points, try to find out the entropy between the first point and second point, entropy between the first point and third point, first and fourth, first and fifth, and so on. You add them up, okay, all the numerical values. That particular numerical value will be the total entropy for point 1. Similarly, you can find out the total entropy for point 2, point 3. For all 1000 data points, you can find out the entropy values. Okay, it is so simple. Now, once you've got the total entropy value, what you do is the data point having the minimum entropy value, that will be selected as the cluster center. Okay. Now here I'm just going to tell you, step 1, calculate entropy EI for each data point xi lying in the hyperspace T. Okay. Identify xi that has the minimum EI value, total entropy value, and select is as the cluster center. So the data point which is having the minimum entropy, that means the data point which is having the minimum disorderliness, that means the data point which is acceptable by most of the other data points, will be selected as the cluster center or the leader. Because the person which is selected by most of the people, he or she will be the leader. Same thing is your copied here. So the data point which is having the minimum disorderliness value or the minimum entropy value, he or she is acceptable by most of the people, and he or she will be the leader. Okay. And once you've got the cluster center, so what I do is we try to compare the similarity value of all other data points with the cluster center or the leader, and the data point which are found to be very close or similar to the cluster center, they will be considered to be lying within that particular cluster, and the other data point will be thrown to other clusters. Okay, the same thing I have written it here. Step 3, put xi minimum and the data point having similarity with xi minimum, that is the cluster center, greater than beta. Beta is nothing but a threshold value of similarity. So the data points which are having similarity with the cluster center greater than beta are put in a cluster. And once you have got that particular cluster, you remove the other data, you remove those data points which you have already put in the cluster from the T hyperspace. It's very simple. Supposing that out of 1000 points, say 450th data point is selected as the cluster center. Okay. Now surrounding that particular data point, there will be a few data points which are very close to the cluster center. Might be there are say 200 such data points which are found to be very close to the cluster center. So 250 data points which are found to be very close to the cluster center plus the cluster center itself, that is your 250 plus 1, say 251, okay, they will form one cluster. And these 251 data points will be removed from your 1000 data points. So I'll have the remaining data points, and once again I'll have to repeat the process to find out who could be the second cluster center, then the third cluster center, and so on. So step 4, check if T is empty. If yes, terminate the program, else go to step 2. So this is actually your step 2. Okay. Now remember one thing, the method which I discussed, that was the original proposal of entropy based fuzzy clustering. But remember, this particular technique is not unique. Okay. For example, say we implemented, besides this particular implementation, in a slightly different way. Okay. So what we did, we calculated the Euclidean distance between the two data points. We tried to find out their similarity values. And once you've got the similarity value, instead of going for the total entropy, we calculated total similarity. Okay. And out of all such data points, so 1000 data points, the point which is having the maximum similarity will be declared as the first cluster center. Okay. So our algorithm worked very well. Okay. So we did not consider the total entropy. Instead, we consider your total similarity. By doing that, in fact, we could make that particular algorithm very fast because entropy calculation is not involved there. Directly from the similarity calculation, we can find out the total similarity in place of the total entropy. And if you do that, you are going to save a lot of computation. And the very purpose of this particular algorithm, so that will, the purpose will be solved. And our algorithm, our proposal could yield very effective, very efficient results. Okay. So long back, we carried out that particular experiment. We developed that. We published that particular work in very good international journal. Number of journal papers we published on this particular the topic. Okay. Now, so this particular the clustering algorithm. Now, some of you might have one doubt. See, I've already discussed the algorithm, the entropy-based fuzzy clustering algorithm. Although the term fuzzy clustering I'm using, you might have seen that directly till now, I have not used the concept of the conventional concept of fuzzy sets. Are you getting my point? So no properties of the fuzzy set have been used in this particular algorithm. But still, this particular algorithm is called fuzzy clustering algorithm. Do you know the reason? Because this is called so fuzzy clustering because the clusters which we are getting, those are fuzzy in nature. Okay. Now, why those are fuzzy in nature? I'm just going to tell you the reason after a few minutes. Okay. Now, once you've got this particular cluster, okay, now we use the concept of outliers. What do you mean by outlier? Outlier means a few data points or a particular data point may not belong to any of the clusters. Are you getting my point? And if it does not belong to any of the cluster, that particular data point will be considered as outliers. Let me take a very simple example. As I told, whenever you stay in the hostel, you form a number of clusters knowingly or unknowingly. But the reality is such, you will always find a few students, okay, might be very less in number. They do not belong to any of the clusters. Are you getting my point? They are called the outliers. Don't think that outliers are bad. They are also equally good. Okay. But somehow they do not want to form the cluster. They want to be separated out from your other batchmates and they will live their own life. Okay. I'm not going to tell that is bad. That is also good. Okay. And so there could be a few outliers also. I hope you have that type of feeling now that out of your total batchmates, okay, might be there are say 1900 or 1300 or whatever maybe. So you'll see always there are 40, 50 students. They do not mix with others. They do not form any cluster. They like to be separated out from others. Okay, they are called the outliers. Okay, but outliers don't think they are always bad. They are also equally good. So after the clustering is done, we count the number of data points lying in each cluster. Supposing that I have got 1000 data points and there are 5 clusters. Okay, and the total number of data points which are going to be there in each of the cluster, supposing that I have counted. Okay, now if this number in a particular cluster becomes greater than and equal to gamma percent of total number of data points, we declare this cluster to be a valid one. For example, I have got 1000 data points. Okay, now I'm just going to declare a cluster to be a valid one if it contains at least say 1% of the total data points or 2% of the total data points. Okay, whether it is 1%, 2%, that will be decided by the user at the beginning, and based on that, the outliers will be determined. Okay, now the number of outliers that depend on this gamma value, whether the gamma is 1% or 2% or 5%. Generally, we keep up to 5%, not more than that. Okay, now remember one thing, the performance of this particular clustering algorithm is too much dependent on the value of beta and gamma. What is beta? That is the threshold value of similarity. Okay. Now this threshold value of similarity, generally we try to keep in a range of 0 to 1.0. Okay. We have got a lot of experience on this particular algorithm. If we change the value of this particular beta from 0.4 to 0.6, there will be too much change in the obtained clusters. And moreover, if I change this gamma from 1% to 2% to 3%, there will be a lot of change in the obtained cluster. So the performance of this particular clustering algorithm, it depends on your the numerical value for the beta and gamma. And that is why, so it is so much dependent on the values for this beta and gamma, we called that this type of clusters are fuzzy clusters. Okay, it is too much dependent or too much sensitive to the values of this particular like beta and gamma. So these clusters which we obtained, the clusters are fuzzy in nature. Okay, so I hope you got the concept of outliers. Now remember one thing, I'm just going to discuss what should be the desirable properties of a good cluster. Now in the last class, I discussed little bit that the clusters are to be distinct and clusters are to be made compact. And at the same time, the number of outliers should be as minimum as possible. And in the ideal case, the number of outliers should be equal to 0. Now, how to measure the distinctness and your compactness, that I'll be discussing after some time in detail. But let me tell you how to determine. Okay, supposing that using the entropy based clustering, we have got 5 clusters. So what we do is we try to find out the inter-cluster Euclidean distance values. How to determine? For each of the 5 clusters, I know the cluster centers. So we try to find out the Euclidean distance between 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 1 and 4, 1 and 5, and so on. Are you getting my point? And similarly, from 2 to other cluster center, we try to find out. From 3 to other cluster center, we try to find out if the inter-cluster distance values are found to be large, then the clusters are too far. They are distinct in nature. Okay, so to determine the distinctness of the clusters, we use the concept of your that is called inter-cluster Euclidean distance. Okay. On the other hand, if I want to declare that a particular cluster is very compact, that means you are considering surrounding that particular cluster center or the leader, other data points are found to be very close to the leader. Okay. Now, if the other data points are found to be very close to the leader, what will happen to the average Euclidean distance values? And these particular Euclidean distance values are nothing but the intra-cluster Euclidean distance value. So it is not inter-cluster, that is intra-cluster. So within the cluster, we try to find out the Euclidean distance values with respect to the cluster center. You sum them up, find out the average. If the average is found to be have the less numerical value, the cluster is very compact. If they are found to have the large numerical value, okay, then the cluster is not very compact. Okay. Now remember one thing. Till now we have discussed 2 clustering algorithms. One is Fuzzy-Simmons clustering algorithm, which is an iterative approach. Okay. Now, due to this iterative approach, there is a possibility that you'll be getting a very compact cluster. Okay. But you may not get a very distinct cluster because we have got less control on the selection of the cluster center in Fuzzy-Simmons algorithm. Let me repeat. In Fuzzy-Simmons algorithm, we will be getting very compact cluster, but you may not get a very distinct cluster. On the other hand, if you see this entropy-based clustering algorithm, we will be getting a very distinct cluster because cluster centers will be selected from the existing data point itself. Okay, so there is a possibility that your cluster center or the clusters will be very distinct. Okay, but it may not be very compact, because in entropy-based fuzzy clustering, we get the clusters. If we run the algorithm only once, it is not an iterative algorithm like your fuzzy Siemens algorithm. So let me repeat. In entropy-based fuzzy clustering, we may get a very distinct cluster, but we may not get a very compact cluster. Okay, but what is our aim? Our aim is to get a very distinct, at the same time, very compact cluster, which is very difficult, which is difficult to obtain by using either your fuzzy Siemens algorithm or entropy-based fuzzy clustering algorithm. And that is why actually we took the initiative a few years ago, and we developed one algorithm that is called the entropy-based fuzzy Siemens algorithm, just to ensure both the distinctness and the compactness. And I think we in the year 2011, we published one good international journal paper. In fact, that particular paper is getting good citation. Even yesterday, I got a mail that that particular paper has been cited by another journal, another set of authors. So this particular paper, this particular concept of entropy-based fuzzy Siemens algorithm, we proposed in the year 2011. And what we did, we put the entropy-based fuzzy clustering algorithm inside the objective function of a genetic algorithm. Okay, I think in the last class somebody was asking me regarding this. So what we did, we developed genetic algorithm tuned entropy-based fuzzy Siemens clustering. Let me repeat, what we proposed is genetic algorithm tuned entropy-based fuzzy clustering algorithm. And we got a very distinct as well as compact cluster, and we got very interesting results. Okay, but let me concentrate on the numerical example related to this entropy-based clustering. The same numerical example which I discussed in the last class related to your fuzzy Siemens algorithm used here. So I'll have to generate the data related to the freeform surface. And once I've got the data, now I'll have to do the clustering so that we can select the class your cutter parameters so that we can get a very accurate machining on the freeform surface. In fact, I think around 2005, 2006, we published one paper like how to do the machining of a freeform surface using the milling cutter. Okay, and that particular paper was published in, I think, International Journal of Machine Tools and Research or something. It's a very good journal, very well-known journal. Uh, so this freeform surface machining, okay, so how to do the clustering using the entropy-based clustering? I'm just going to take the same numerical example, the same 10 data points I'm going to consider, and to represent each of the data points, I'm using three numerical values: x coordinate, y coordinate, and z coordinate. Okay, and you'll have to carry out the fuzzy clustering based on the similarity and entropy values. Assume beta, that is the threshold value of similarity, is 0.5 and gamma equals to 10%. It is certainly on the higher side. So what we do, we try to find out the Euclidean distance between the two data points I and j. So dij is nothing but square root of summation k equals to 1 to L xik minus xjk square. And here the total number of data points is equal to 10. So how many such distance values will be getting? Very simple. 10C2. So many such combination. That permutation combination, you know. So this is 10, C2 is 45. So many such distance values are available. Okay, and here dji is equal to dij, and d00, d11, d22, d33, these are all put equal to 0. That is the principal diagonal values. Okay, and once you have got that, you can find out what is d bar, that is the mean distance values. And once you know d bar, we can find out alpha, that is ln2 divided by d bar. So this is the value of that particular constant, that is alpha. Okay, and once you've got this particular alpha, I know the numerical values of dij. Very easily you can find out the similarity value between the data points I and j. And once you have got that similarity, I can find out the entropy. Okay. The combination of data point between 0 and 1. The first point I am going to represent by 0, and the second point I am going to represent by 1. So the data points will be represented here from 0 to 9. There are 10 data points. So the combination 0 and 1, this is the Euclidean distance value, this is the similarity value. So we'll have to use this mathematical expression to find out the similarity. Between 0 and 2, this is the similarity, 0 and 3, 0 and 4. So all the data points, all the combination, you can find out the Euclidean distance values and the similarity values. Okay, so I'm just going to consider all the combinations, their Euclidean distance values and entropy values. And once you have got that, we can find out what is the total entropy of each of the data points. And if you calculate corresponding to this particular the data set, you will be getting entropy for the first point, that is denoted by E naught, is 8.285456. Then E1 is 8.665640. So I have calculated entropy value for all the 10 data points, that is E0, E1 up to E9. So I'm requesting all of you to calculate with the help of your calculator or very simple computer programming. Okay, so all such entropy values which I've written it here. Okay, so the entropy values of all 10 data points can be calculated. And if you compare the 0th point, that is the first point has the least entropy value. So the first point will be the first cluster center. And here the threshold value of similarity beta equals to 0.5. So considering the first point as the first cluster center, you try to find out the similarity value of all other data points surrounding your the first point, and using the concept of threshold value of similarity beta equals to 0.5, I can determine that along with the first point, the fourth point, fifth point, seventh point, and eighth point will be considered along with the zero. So I'm sorry, 0th point is actually the first point, in fact. So the second, truly speaking, first means it is the second data point. Fourth means it is the fifth data point. Fifth means it is the sixth data point. Seventh means it is the eighth data point. Eighth means it is the ninth data point. Surrounding the first data point, so I'm getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other data points. Okay, so 5 plus 1. So the sixth data point will belong to cluster 1. Okay, and the remaining data point will go to your cluster 2. Okay, the remaining 4 data points will go to cluster 2. So by doing that, you'll be getting some fuzzy cluster, something like this. Okay, this is fuzzy cluster because if I change the values for the beta and gamma, so there will be a lot of change on this particular cluster. Okay, so this is the first fuzzy cluster, the second fuzzy cluster denoted by dotted circle, and you can see that surrounding this particular point, I have got a few other data points, 5 data points. So in total, there are 6, and here in total there are 4, and for the second cluster the center is denoted by 6. 6 means it is the 7th data point. So by following this, you can find out the cluster centers and the cluster. I hope it is clear to all of you. And then I can concentrate on entropy-based fuzzy clustering, which I've already discussed. And what is the combined thing that is your entropy-based fuzzy C-means clustering? Philosophy, I have told that we want to get a very distinct and very compact cluster. But we have seen that the performance of the clustering algorithm are found to be data dependent. Okay, so if you use different types of data, so you'll be getting may get the different types of performance. So it is found to be data dependent. And these are the references. Now this paper I was talking about, genetic algorithm tuned entropy-based fuzzy C-means clustering for obtaining distinct and complex clusters, 2011. And so these are the references. So till now, related to this fuzzy sets, fuzzy logic, we discussed the properties of fuzzy sets. That means the grammar of fuzzy sets. And out of the different applications of this particular fuzzy set, we discussed the most 2 important applications, like application of fuzzy sets in the form of fuzzy reasoning tool and application of fuzzy sets in the form of clustering tool. Okay, and we have discussed in details, we have solved some numerical examples. Okay, now if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Yes, one at a time. If you have any doubt, you can ask me.
Sir,
Yes.
can you just explain the fact which is saying that the previous method was based on the compactness, but the entropy based was based on the distinction, but not the compactness?
Now, actually, what happened uh, in FCM algorithm, like the fuzzy C-means algorithm, we went on modifying, if you remember, the cluster center and membership function values of the data point with the cluster center through a large number of iterations. So cluster centers are going to be updated and their membership function values are going to be updated. Consequently, we'll be getting the data points which are very close to the cluster center. You can check in the early iteration, the compactness may not be good, but with as the iteration proceeds, the compactness is bound to improve. Now, regarding the distinctness, see, the cluster centers are selected initially at random. Okay, not at random. Based on the random values of mu, we calculate cluster center. Then once again, we modify through large number of iterations. Now you have got no control. Okay, so there is every possibility that some of the cluster points may not be found to be very distinct. They can come very close and there could be a chance of overlapping because we do have less control on the selection of cluster center and their updated value, which is not the case in case of entropy based clustering because here the cluster centers are selected from the available data points only. And these available data points, like 1000 data points, they are distinct in nature. So there is every possibility that in entropy-based clustering, we will be getting some sort of distinct cluster. But entropy-based fuzzy clustering is actually one iteration algorithm sort of thing. So it is not improving the solution to a large number of iterations. So here there is a chance that you may not get a very compact. Your surrounding the cluster center, other data points may not come very close to the data point because their positions are well defined. Okay, are you getting my point? So it may not be very close to your cluster center, and consequently the compactness may not be good. I hope I'm clear to all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Next, is there any other doubt?
Yes, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Tell me.
Yes, sir.
Tell me.
Sir, you said that there are some the concept of outlier in the case of the EBFC, the entropy-based algorithm. Sir, will there be any outliers present in the case of FCM?
FCM also,
fuzzy C means.
Yes, you are right. Fuzzy C means algorithm also, we consider actually the concept of outlier. Although in the original version of FCM, concept of outlier were missing, which was proposed by Bezdek in 1973. But in our implementation, we consider the concept of outlier in FCM also. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, another, sir. Just I was unable to understand the concept of the hyperspace. Is it like the universal set that we use
yes.
in the case of
hyperspace means what? If I have got 1000 data points, say if I have got capital N data points, each having L dimensional space. So in the matrix form, I can represent N cross L matrix. There are N rows, each row is having L columns. Am I clear?
Yes,
now,
sir.
this particular matrix N cross L is nothing but is your hyperspace, T hyperspace. Because that is in multi-dimensional form, better to call it. This is not 2D space or 2D plane or 3D space. It is a hyperspace, means large number of dimensions. Okay.
Oh, okay, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, fine. Is there any other doubts? So no other doubt. May I ask, like, whether Pradeep Nahak is online? Pradeep, are you online? Pradeep Nahak, are you online? Pradeep Nahak, are you online? I'm asking because I came to know that he is found to be COVID positive. I'm too much worried about him. Okay. Anyway, I think he is not attending today's class. Okay.
I think, sir, he is not there.
He is not there, no?
Yes, sir.
Yesterday, he sent a mail that he and his whole family is found to be COVID positive. So I'm worried about him.
Sir, actually, I have his number, so I will contact him.
Try to contact him.
Sure, sir. I will update about his health to you.
Okay, okay. Okay, Pushpendra. Pushpendra,
Yes, sir.
everything is fine?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Here everything is fine.
Okay, okay. ठीक है, and we'll be in touch. Okay. And
sure.
so let me stop here today.